Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a video about fast passes. Now this video isn't going to actually walk you through how to make your fast passes. Instead, I am going to give you basically the overview or quick facts about fast passes, and then I am going to walk through what I think the best fast pass picks are for if you have kids or if you're going with adults and older children at each of the 4 Walt Disney World parks. Walt Disney World is the only park that currently has Fastpass Plus in their system, and that is basically a result of the Magic Bands. So if other parks get Magic Bands, that could eventually happen there. I will at some point talk about Fast Passes at other parks. However, the Walt Disney World Fast Passes, that's currently the most extensive system and the one that people look into the most because you have to do some planning ahead if you want to get the best Fast Pass reservations. So, let's get started with all the quick facts that I have for Fast Pass Plus at Walt Disney World. The first quick fact that I have about Fast Pass Plus is that it is included in your park admission. So when you pay for your ticket for the day, it's already included in that. You don't have to pay anything extra. And so at that point, if you don't take advantage of the system, you are technically losing out on a perk that comes with the price of admission. You also do not have to stay at a Walt Disney World resort in order to take advantage of the Fast Pass Plus system. You do get a special perk if you do stay at the Walt Disney World Resort. However, you do not have to. You also do not have to have a Magic Band in order to use the Fast Pass Plus system. You can just use your card ticket or whatever it's called if you do not have a Magic Band for your visit, like if you are just going for one day or whatever the case may be. You can choose up to 3 Fast Passes per day at the park that you are starting at. So if you are going to be park hopping in the middle of the day, you can only choose Fast Passes at the first park. So if you're going to be park hopping, my suggestion would be to try and get your Fast Passes for before noon or before whenever you're planning to park hop. You can select up to 3 Fast Passes per day at the first park that you will be attending that day. So if you are intending to park hop halfway through the day, my suggestion would be to try and make your Fast Pass times for before you plan to park hop or plan your park hopping around your last Fast Pass. Now, bear in mind that you can add additional Fast Passes by either using the My Disney Experience app or the kiosks that are around the parks. You can do this after the 3rd Fast Pass has either been used or after the allotted time has expired. So as soon as you use your 3rd Fast Pass, I sometimes do it like while I'm in line for my 3rd Fast Pass. Sometimes it takes the system a few minutes to update, so it doesn't always work out that way, and I'll do it as soon as I get out. But if you are able to, go ahead and book your next Fast Pass as soon as you can on your My Disney Experience app, or you can, like I said, go to the kiosks if you're one of those people who doesn't want to carry around your phone at the parks. I totally get that. And in the description box below, I will have listed the locations of the kiosks for each park. For 2 specific parks, this would be Epcot and Hollywood Studios. There are tiers to the Fast Passes, so they are broken up into groups. Tier 1 are your more in-demand rides, such as at Hollywood Studios, Rock and Roller Coaster, Toy Story Midway, Mania, Beauty and the Beast Live on Stage, and Fantasmic are your Tier 1 rides. But you have all your other rides, such as Star Tours, the Disney Junior Live on Stage, the Frozen, for the first time in forever, I think it's the Frozen Sing-Along, things such as that, all of your, like, rides that people would like to go on, but they're not going to be heartbroken if they don't get to go on kind of thing, are in Tier 2. And so, in those types of parks, which, like I said, is Epcot and Hollywood Studios, you are only allotted 1 Fast Pass in Tier 1 and 2 Fast Passes in the 2nd tier, which make a total of 3. Now, talking about when you're allowed to book your Fast Pass Plus ahead of time, those 3 Fast Passes that you're allowed to book in advance, that all depends on whether you are or are not staying at a Walt Disney World resort. If you are not staying at a Walt Disney World resort, you are allowed to book your fast passes 30 days before you visit that park. So even if you're still planning to go like 2 days in a row, you will have to book 30 days out for the first park and then book 30 days out for the next day as well, because they don't allow you to do the length of your trip, since technically you don't have a package with them, because you don't have a resort. If you are staying in a Walt Disney World resort, you are allowed to book your 3 FastPass Plus selections 60 days out from the first day of your trip. So even if your trip is 7 days long, you can book the 7th day of your trip as long as it's 60 days out from the very first day. Now, for both the resort and non-resort overnighters, you can make these reservations at 7 a.m. Eastern Time on the day that either your 30 or 60 day mark hits. As I stated in the introduction of this video, my plan is to give you what my FastPass selections would be based on whether I was going with young children or if I was going with just adults or older children. So the adults and older children is definitely the FastPasses you would see me select on my own regular trip, because I don't have any children of my own right now. However, I have gone with a young child before, and so I'm kind of letting you in on the FastPasses that I selected for that part of our party, because I broke up the party sort of and did FastPasses for different parts. And so this is just generally my suggestions. I am going to have little add-on FastPasses for the end, so they're definitely like, heads up, if your kid likes Belle more than they like Cinderella, you should probably do this one instead of that one. Or ones that I suggest trying really hard to get after your first 3 FastPasses are done, and you can go on your app and select another one. So let's go right into the very first and most iconic Walt Disney World park, Magic Kingdom. Now bear in mind, at Magic Kingdom, there are more rides than there are at any other Walt Disney World park, more meet and greets than there seem to be, or at least FastPass meet and greets, than there are at any other Walt Disney World park. And so this one was very hard to stop and choose different ones. The adult lists that I have are what we have chosen on previous trips, and the children's trips are, or the children's choices are what I had chosen for our younger cousin and the few adults that were going with him on rides. And so there's definitely some alterations there. Now, my first suggestion for Magic Kingdom, being that there are so many FastPass meet and greets, are that you should take advantage of these FastPass meet and greets. The first one being at Town Square, the Mickey Mouse meet and greet. This is the Mickey that talks, and so a lot of little kids want to meet him. And you can also meet Tinkerbell at this specific meet and greet. And I believe you have to FastPass separately for them, so bear that in mind. But if your kid is really into the fairy movies and really likes Tinkerbell, that's a great option. If you're really just into the iconic Disney, the Mickey Mouse is the better option. I also suggest doing the Princess Fairy Tale Hall, and you have 2 options there. You get 2 princesses on one FastPass, depending on which one you choose. You can either choose Cinderella and Elena or Rapunzel and Tiana. And that, like I said, is at Princess Fairy Tale Hall. Now, my third FastPass selection for Magic Kingdom is actually a ride, and it is Peter Pan's Flight. This is one of the most iconic rides at the Magic Kingdom, and little kids tend to really, really like it, but the line gets insane. I don't even understand why the line gets so long, but it does. And so if you have a small child, there is no reason for you to be FastPassing like the roller coasters and such, unless you and your spouse or somebody you're planning to like child swap. Then I would go ahead and FastPass Peter Pan's Flight, skip the 2-hour line, because it does get ridiculous like that, and just really enjoy the iconic, nostalgic Disney of Peter Pan's Flight. Now, my add-on choices for Magic Kingdom with small children would be Ariel's Grotto, and that's definitely an option if your kid is more into Ariel than she is into any of the other princesses, because Ariel's Grotto is where you specifically meet Ariel in her grotto. And then the other one would be the Enchanted Tales with Belle. And that is more of like a little experience with Belle than it is a meet and greet, but it is really cool if you have a child who is really into Beauty and the Beast. Now, my adults and older children list for Magic Kingdom. Definitely 100% Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Right now, that's like the newest big thrill ride at Disney, or at least at Magic Kingdom, and so that is definitely the one that you want to fast pass at Magic Kingdom. I also chose Space Mountain, and I selected it out of all the other mountains. There's Space, Big Thunder, and Splash, and I chose Space Mountain only because every time that I have ever gone to Magic Kingdom and I've gotten there right at rope drop, or I've gone to early extra magic hours, I've been able to walk all the way back to Frontierland, get on Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, and then head right over to Adventureland. I've ridden Pirates of the Caribbean, and what else did I ride? I can't remember right this second, but I rode like 4 rides before any of the wait times got up to 15 minutes long. So you can, as long as you plan little things like that right, you can definitely do that. And so that's why I chose just Space Mountain, because with it being at Tomorrowland, which is not very far from the inside of the park, like right when you get in the park, a lot of people are going to go directly there. And so, and then people are going to hit that on the way out as well. So that's one of those rides that no matter if you try to do it early or try to do it late, you're still going to get stuck with a line. Haunted Mansion is my third one for older kids and adults, because the Haunted Mansion line gets a little bit insane. It does. It gets just as insane as Peter Pan's Flight sometimes. Now, my add-ons are Splash Mountain and Big Thunder Mountain, and that's really just dependent on whether or not you are interested in the other 3 rides, or definitely those are ones to add on after you're done with your first 3. Now, I'm going to jump into Animal Kingdom, and I'm only jumping straight there because they do not have a tiered Fast Pass selection, and so that one's going to be a little bit easier to run through, and it's going to be a little less confusing if I do the 2 without tiers and then the 2 with tiers than if I jump around. So, the first one for children, for young children, that I would select would be the Festival of the Lion King. That is an amazing show. You'll find that it's also on my adult list because it is for all ages. I also would select the Kilimanjaro Safari. I have never seen insane lines myself for this ride, so I didn't put it on the adult list. However, you don't really want to wait super long with small children, and there are times that it gets a little bit high. And then the Navi River Journey, which is the new Pandora ride, and that one is geared a little more towards the younger audience. I think a lot of people are going to be riding just because it's such a new thing, and so I definitely think that you should choose to fast pass this one if you have small children. Now, my add-ons would be depending on if you're more interested in meet and greets than you are in rides with your small children, and also if you're more interested in sit-down shows than you are with rides. I have the Finding Nemo musical, as well as the Meet Your Favorite Disney Pals at the Adventurer Outpost. Now, my adults and other kids list is definitely number 1 on both lists, Festival of the Lion King. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I also selected Avatar Flight of Passage. That's another ride in Pandora, and this one is geared a little more towards the slightly older audiences. However, I think that you should probably fast pass both of them if you're really, really wanting to check out that specific area, since if it's your first time back to Disney or something of that nature since it opened. I also suggest Expedition Everest. This is like the major thrill ride at Animal Kingdom, and so if you are an adult or an older child, you definitely want to fast pass this ride. My add-ons would be Dinosaur, absolutely love that ride, and Kilimanjaro Safaris, definitely one to stick on there after you've already taken care of your first 3 if you still haven't been on the safari yet for that day. Now I'm going to jump into Epcot, and Epcot is one of the 2 parks that has the tiered system. So I am going to tell you which tier I'm in, and then my add-ons I'm definitely going to mention which tier that they fall in. They all still, if you're adding things on, still work on the 3 Fastpass systems. So you have to use all 3 Fastpasses to add on, and then it doesn't matter which tier it's in when you add it on, because when you do add-ons, you can only do one at a time. My kids list for Epcot is Frozen Ever After. If you don't get a Fastpass for this ride, you probably, even still a little while later, probably will have to wait 2.5 hours. So get a Fastpass. That is my Tier 1 kids ride. Tier 1 kids ride. Now the 2 Tier 2 rides or experiences that I chose are the Epcot character spot, because there's usually quite a few characters in there. You can meet different ones. And the Seas with Nemo and Friends, because it's a Nemo ride. So kids like that, right? And then my add-on would be a Tier 2 ride, and that would be Turtle Talk with Crush. Now my adult list, or older children adult list for Epcot, my Tier 1 ride is Test Track. My Tier 2 rides are Mission Space and Spaceship Earth. Now, you don't really need a Fastpass for Spaceship Earth. It's kind of silly, but the quicker you can get on and off that ride and onto something else, the better off you're going to be, because Epcot, if you stop and think about it, is a lot more about the experience, the World Showcase, and all that stuff than it is about the rides. And so there are very few rides that fall into the Tier 2 level that really are worth using a Fastpass on. I chose Spaceship Earth out of like that one, the Journey into Imagination with Figment, and Living with the Land. I mean, there are other things like the Finding Nemo and Turtle Talk with Crush and character meet and greets, but for adults, I think Spaceship Earth is more worth your time than the character meet and greets or Nemo ride. You could, like I said, swap this out easily with Living with the Land or Journey into Imagination with Figment, just dependent upon what you want to make sure that you get done that day. Now, my add-on for adults is a Tier 1 ride, and that would be Soarin'. I really, really wish that Test Track and Soarin' were not in the same Fastpass tier, because that's just unfair. It just is, because for adults, you definitely, and even older children, adults, older children, whatever, you definitely want to go on both of those rides while you're there, that you have to. It's just part of the experience. Now, let's jump right over to the 4th park, which, as a lot of us know, is kind of a little bit of a dud right now. I still love Hollywood Studios. I loved it when we went, even though so many things were already taken down when we went, and that was in May of 2016. I really cannot wait for Toy Story Land and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge to open and to really bring life back to that park, because I love Hollywood Studios. I've always really liked that park. I dubbed it my favorite park when we went when I was a junior in high school, and that was my very first visit. But I definitely cannot wait to see more happening at that park, because right now there's not a lot going on, so you may notice that the Fast Passes are probably not the greatest things to use Fast Passes on. But it depends. You might think they're great. Now, at Hollywood Studios, Tier 1 ride, Toy Story Midway Mania. This is my kids list. Toy Story Midway Mania, Tier 1. Tier 2 is Disney Junior live on stage, or the Beauty and the Beast live on stage, or the For the First Time in Forever Frozen Sing-Along. 2 of those 3. I would pick 2 of those 3 and go with it. Now, I would add on the 3rd of those 3, whichever one you didn't get to see. Now, my adult list, Tier 1 ride is still Toy Story Midway Mania, because I don't care if you're an adult or a child, that ride is amazing. You have to ride it. You have to. Now, my Tier 2 rides are Tower of Terror, because if you don't ride that, you're not getting the quintessential Hollywood Studios, and Star Tours. My add-on ride for the adult list would be Rockin' Roller Coaster. And I found that if you go to the park, like right at Rope Drop or for early morning extra magic hours, you can either Fast Pass one of the 2, Toy Story or Rockin' Roller Coaster, and then you can run to the other one. So that's all I've got, guys, for the Walt Disney World Fast Pass Plus video. These, as I said, are just my personal selections, and you are more than welcome to comment below and tell me how you like, dislike, or ask me any questions about them as well. If you have any questions about Fastpass in general, I can do my best to answer them. As I said before, I don't work for Disney. I'm not a travel agent or anything of that nature. I just simply love Disney and I love planning my own trips, and so I thought I'd put tips out there for those of you who are trying to do the same thing. As I said, feel free to agree or disagree in the comments, as well as ask any questions, give me suggestions for future videos, or ask for future tip videos, and feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.